Hello, today I am building a cottage, and it's actually inspired by a real cottage that I've never been inside or anything, but I've just seen the outside of it. And so this is designed to look like it. I made up all the interior layouts. I don't actually know what it looks like there, but I have seen the porch area from the outside, so that's pretty accurate. But also, like, I wasn't really trying to make a perfect replica. This is just kind of inspired by that particular cottage. So my dad has a cottage up on Georgian Bay, and there are lots of buildings in this style. So this particular build is inspired by that style of building. So the roof here is really like the big style. A lot of the cottages up there look like this. So you've got these dormer windows up at the top. And it's this cottage in particular has actually been on the cover of Cottage Life magazine years and years ago. It looks very different now than it did when it was on the magazine cover. But this is the cottage that it's close to my dad's, so we pass by it all the time when we're boating up there. So this front area here is actually a screened-in porch, but I just made big windows to kind of make it it's more of a sunroom really in this house, just because The Sims doesn't have those screens. So big windows just to kind of mimic the same kind of vibe. And then off to the side, there's a couple of little outbuildings, which is really common with cottages, where people build base cottage, and then as the years go on and they're able to afford putting more money into it, instead of doing expansions, you build like bunkies. So one of those ends up being kind of like a little outhouse. Not kind of, it is a little outhouse. And then the other one ends up being a bunkie. So this cottage ends up sleeping, there's 6 bedrooms, and it can sleep 8 Sims. So not all the bedrooms are huge. A few of the rooms are guest rooms. So 3 of the bedrooms are designed to look like they have some more personality in them. So there's actually people who live in those, or like at least not necessarily live, but in the summer, like it's their summer home, they live there. And then 3 of the bedrooms are more simplified, and they're kind of like, they're nicely decorated, but they're more minimal because they're guest rooms. And then of course the whole cottage is up on stilts, because very, very common up where my dad's cottage is, because the ground is all, obviously this is in Windenburg, so it's grass, but up there the ground is all made of rock, like it's just rock. So you can't dig in to build a foundation, you have to build up. So pretty much all the buildings there are up on stilt foundations. So anyway, this is the first little bunkie. So it ends up having like a little sitting area in the front, and then 2 small bedrooms. And then this is the outhouse area. I go back and forth a lot in the builds. I do that a lot where I'm building, where like I don't just finish one area and then move on. I spend a lot of time going back and forth, which maybe, I don't know if it's annoying to watch or anything, but that's just how I build. That's my style there. So anyway, the little outdoor bathroom. I really like, it is an outhouse, but it's not meant to be like, it's a nice outhouse. It's an outdoor bathroom as opposed to an outhouse. And then there's an outdoor shower as well. So I think that outdoor showers are really cool. I'd love to have one. So I put one in this cottage so that I can live vicariously. And actually the one that we boat by, they do have an outdoor shower. There's a lot of cottages that have outdoor showers. So this is the little sitting area for the bunkie. And the whole build has lots of like blues and whites. I tried to go for that kind of nautical color scheme, and lots of blue and white decorations. There's a few other things in there as well, but when I think of like being by the beach and being at a cottage, you think of like waves, they're blue and white. So that's the decor that I went with there. So anyway, I finished the outbuildings mostly, and then I do come back later to make a few changes and add some details, but I finished the outbuildings mostly before working on the inside. So this is the first little bedroom here. And again, like, it's not very big, it's just small. And if you've ever been to a cottage, it's very accurate to how the little outbuilding bunkies are, where they're not meant for you to spend time in. They're just meant for you to sleep in, because you spend the majority of the day outside, whether it's boating or hiking or sunbathing or swimming or whatever you're doing. You're not spending the time in your room, so you just need like a place to sleep. And that's all that the bedrooms really are in the guest rooms. It's just a place to sleep. So there's nothing super crazy in any of them. And then I also did kind of darker lighting in the outbuildings too. So you'll see like in the bedrooms, there aren't ceiling lights. There's not a whole lot of light, and that was on purpose. When most people build these kinds of buildings, a lot of the time it's like people build this themselves, and they're not necessarily electricians who build them. It's people who build things themselves. So they wouldn't have a lot of electrical knowledge of putting in necessarily overhead lights. And a lot of times too, like the ceilings, mostly beams and everything, they're not like fully finished ceilings. So it's mostly just like lamps and wall lights that I've got in the outbuildings. The inside of the cottage has more advanced electrical work, but I went for the outside as just kind of like we've added this on later and we did it ourselves. Maybe we hired an electrician, but the budget was a little bit lower, because again, it's not, you wouldn't be sinking a whole bunch of money necessarily into these outbuildings, because they're just meant for people to sleep in. Although you do have the nice little sitting area there, where if you did want a moment to yourself indoors, you could still sit out there but get lots of sun. And then now I'm working on the layout, and I do change the layout a little bit throughout the build. So those are, right now I'm like spacing where I want the 3 indoor bed, like the 3 main building bedrooms in the bathroom. So I'm just deciding all of that right now. And it ends up being that I end up making actually the 1 bedroom like at the bottom. Yeah, it becomes a lot smaller there. And then there's like a little hallway kind of going into the bedroom areas. And then we've got the bathroom and the little, yeah, there's a master bedroom. And then I start, eventually you'll see, like I start, one of the bedrooms, it starts out as a teenage girl's bedroom, but I turn it into a teenage boy's bedroom. And I made all of the interiors that white kind of paneling, because most of these cottages, they are paneling. Like again, it's, people don't necessarily drywall everything. It's very wooden. And I just painted them white to give it that kind of bright nautical feel to it. And went with the metal roof. And yeah, so this is the bathroom here, just finishing that up. And I don't actually normally like building bathrooms, but these ones were so like white and bright. And the reason I don't like building bathrooms is because the defaults that I like are always white. And then I'm like, oh, my bathroom looks so white. It's too white. But because with this whole build, I was going with whites and blues, it kind of worked for this build to have things in the bathroom be very, very white. It actually matched the building very well. And like that vampire's flooring with the white tile with a little bit of blue was perfect for this build. So you see, I go back to the outbuildings. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot soap in there. So put that in. And I do go back and add a few more details in the bunkie as well too. I don't usually add carpets when I'm building until the very end, just because I really don't like placing carpets. I find it frustrating because you're like, oh, I really like this size and shape of carpet, but it doesn't come in the color I want. Or, oh, I really like the color of this carpet and the pattern, but it doesn't come in the right size or shape. So I find the carpeting in The Sims 4 very frustrating. So I always just go in and add them last. Or sometimes if there's like the perfect one for the space, I'll add it at the time, but usually I go in and I fix that later. So anyway, just adding a few more little details to this bathroom. So there's lots of stuff in here. It's not too big of a bathroom, but it's got everything that you need. And again, like this cottage can sleep up to 8 Sims potentially. So it's small to have that 1 indoor bathroom in the outhouse. But again, that's pretty accurate to how a lot of cottages are, because they're they're often not built all at once. They're kind of built over the years and things are added on. So anyway, here's the teenager's room, and right now I'm building a teenage girl's room, but it does change and become a teenage boy's room. So the layout and like where everything is stays the same. I just change some of the swatches, and then I go in later and I remove some of the details, and then add new ones that are a little bit more masculine, I guess. So for now it's a teenage girl's room, but it becomes a teenage boy's room. And because originally when I went to make the kids' bedroom, I was like, oh, I really want to use this bed, but it looks girly and I don't want it to be just like I just didn't want this house to be intended as a family of girls. So I changed up what I was doing. And I love this lamp from Tiny Living. I use it in a couple of spots in this build. I use a lot of the Tiny Living stuff actually in this build. I use the Tiny Living stuff a lot. I like it all a lot. So yeah, putting in a little tiny desk in there so that you've got a place to do some work. I figured like this is a cottage, but I also made it so that maybe this family actually does live here full time, because it is in Windenburg. So obviously like it's not a vacation home. It's not like in Granite Falls or anything. I built it in Windenburg. Windenburg just had the right feel for what this cottage was like, and I picked this lot specifically because of the dock out to the side. I thought that looked very cottagey, so Windenburg had the right feel. So this is somewhere that you're like, I mean, obviously if you did download and place this lot, you could put it wherever you wanted to, but I was building it in Windenburg, so I thought, okay, well maybe a family does live here and they have lots of people who are from like San Myshuno come and visit for the cottage feel. So I put in lots of guest rooms anyway. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's The Sims and I'm just building. I wasn't building this house in particular I wasn't building this house for any particular family, but I just wanted to be realistic. I did actually end up after building this house, I ended up actually moving one of my Sim families into it, and I just changed a little bit of it. So I turned the bunkie area, instead of having 2 bedrooms in there, I put office spaces for 2 Sims who work from home a lot. But anyway, I wasn't building this house intended for them. I really liked this build, and I don't often actually make my Sims live in the builds that I do. So I actually did for once. But yeah, I find when I'm playing The Sims and I'm actually doing gameplay with a family, I don't like to have to stop and build. When I'm building, I really I don't know, I just get into phases where I'm like, I want to build today, or phases where I'm like, I want to play today. And so when I was with this one family and I wanted them to move, they were living in an apartment and I wanted them to move into a house, and I was like, I don't feel like building anything, and I don't feel like moving into a pre-made house because you have to change everything anyway, and you might as well just build it yourself because everything's so ugly that you have to change it. So I actually just moved my family into this house, and I just changed a couple of the rooms and made very minor, small changes. So yeah, I don't remember what carpet I end up putting in this room. I don't even think I decided at this point. I think I decided to come back to it later. But even if I pick something, I'm sure I change it, because when I make this a boys' room, I changed up everything. But I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, I really wanted to use this bed, and then I was like, oh, that looks too girly, and I already made the teenager's room girly, and then I was going to make the master bedroom girly because I like to make a little bit girly. So in my build sometimes, so I decided that in order to make things a little less girly in general around here, because it's not meant to be just a girly home, I made the bedroom that I just finished into a teenage boy's bedroom. So I just make a few changes to make that happen. It didn't take very long, but anyway, you'll see as it happens. So just putting in all my different beds. Yeah, and here I go. I changed a few things to make it a boy's room. So I just changed the curtains, I changed the bedding, and then I get rid of the flowers and the butterfly pictures. And I added in like a little robot, and so it's just a little bit of a more masculine room. And I think I put in like some toys that maybe they were his as a kid and he still has them, even though, you know, he wouldn't be playing with them now. Yeah, it didn't take long to change. I just added a few things, and yeah, there we go. A little toy car, we got a robot and a little helicopter, changed a couple of the color swatches, and there you go. And then moving on back to this bedroom. You know what? I feel like in this game, I wish that there were more curtain options. Like, sometimes I'm looking through and I'm like, oh, I love this curtain. Like, same as the carpets. It's like, oh, I love this curtain, but it doesn't fit this window. Or this curtain fits this window, but it's super ugly. And I just wish that there were more kind of like with all the, either if you have a curtain, have one for more window sizes, or if you have, for all the curtains that you make, add more swatches so that they're more versatile. And then, yeah, I switched the dressers around in there because I was like, I don't want to have two of the same dressers in the build for, I don't know, I just didn't want to. But I thought that this dresser works better for this room because it looks more like it could potentially be an end table as well. And in the other room, I wasn't looking for the dresser to be an end table, but this one I was like, now each bed kind of like, if you wanted to, each bed could use one of the surfaces as an end table if they so desired. So I switched the dressers around and then added just a few little details in here. Again, this is a guest room. It's not meant to be actually someone's bedroom. So it's a very like generic looking, you just want it to kind of look nice in here. White bedding. Yeah, so it's just like, you know, when you go to stay somewhere and like the bedding's always white. So this room is just kind of like a few little details and white bedding. And then I thought that little pool cleaner over the wall was a nice decoration. And then adding in another bedroom as well. But yeah, even though there's no pool on this property, I thought it just kind of, that I was scrolling through items in the decor catalog, and I was like, oh, that's a cute little decoration for this build. So anyway, here going into the next kid's bedroom. So I made this little girl's bedroom. So she's got a few little knickknacks in here, and I use that dresser again. I realized like before, I was like, I don't want to use the same dresser twice, and then here I go again, using it twice. So, but yeah, that's like the great thing about The Sims is you don't have to necessarily stick to a plan. You can change your mind all the time. I put this little lighthouse thing from Cats and Dogs up on the desk. I thought it was really cute for this kind of cottagey feel. So we've got our little lighthouse decoration up on there, and it's also a little lamp as well. So we're all ready to do homework at this desk, and then I gave her a backpack as well, the little owl one. And yeah, just little cute kid stuff. To be honest, in The Sims, playing with kids is my least favorite thing to do. I don't want kids in real life, so a lot of the time when I'm playing, like, I don't want kids in real life. I don't really particularly like spending time with kids in real life. So when I'm playing The Sims, I don't necessarily want to be playing with kids. Usually if I do, it's like for something. So decorating kids' rooms is not my forte, just because I'm like, I don't know what kids like. I don't know what sim kids like. I don't know what real kids like. So anyway, I did my best, and hopefully it's all right. But she's got like a few little ribbons on the wall that maybe she wanted track and field. And then I turned that corkboard into a blackboard later. I kind of wish that the corkboards, like the one that's there is good for a community lot, but you wouldn't have that in your bedroom. Like it's got the one sign on it that has like pull off a number. Like, you know when people are like, I'm a handyman, take my number, and then you can rip one of the pieces off. Like, you wouldn't have that in your bedroom. So I kind of wish that there was a corkboard that was more, and there are 2 corkboards that you can choose from that look different, but I just wish that there was a more, like, this one's got my friends on it. Sorry, little flower rug in there. I guess I lied about going back later and adding all the carpets, but I do add more carpets at the end. So anyway, just adding the essentials before I forget there. A garbage can and a mailbox. And then now we're moving on to finishing the master bedroom. So I'd already put the bed in there earlier. While I was scrolling through beds, I was like, that's the one I want for the master bedroom. So I put it in there. But here I am going in to finish it. And yeah, I don't know, just deciding what I wanted in there. And you know what? I have been using those end tables a lot just when I'm in The Sims recently, and I've had them forever. They're just from Cats and Dogs, but I just recently discovered my love of them. I put in a couple I end up just putting a closet in this spot because I thought that it looks like good storage. And again, like with these kind of summer homes, you do need good storage because you leave for the winter, or you leave for, you know, maybe you're just there for a couple months or over the weekend. So you need good storage for putting stuff away when you're done the cottaging season. And just in general too, like having good storage is nice. So I put a little closet in the main living area. And yeah, so anyway, just finishing this room up, and I put candles in instead of lamps. I thought it looked a little bit more cozy and romantic. And again, if it's a family home, you probably do want a little bit of a more romantic setting. So I put candles in instead of lamps. And then got some nice artwork in there. Put a laundry hamper in. I mean, just the decorative one. And then some more artwork over here. And then, yeah, so anyway, the master bedroom is like still kind of simple, but it's nice, and it's like an elegant simple. So it's got everything you need. Lots of cute little decoration items, maybe like some pictures of family and vacations. I mean, those pictures don't look like that, but whenever I place them, that's what I imagine that they are, because I really wish that there were more options for putting like pictures of your families on the wall. I mean, I know you can take photos and put them on the wall, but they all kind of like look the same. So if you want them all over your house, it kind of just looks like the same artwork over and over again, even if it's not. Anyway, so putting in the kitchen here. It's not a very big kitchen, but it does the job. So it's not everything that, it's got everything that you would need in it. And we've got our, some cabinets up ahead, and then going in to put in a range hood. And I don't think I do it for a bit, but anyway, you'll see I had the hardest time trying to figure out how I was going to put curtains over that window, because then if you put curtains over that window, then the curtains would interfere with the cabinet opening. And I know like the Sims don't actually open their cabinets, so it wouldn't really matter for gameplay, but it just didn't look good. So anyway, I do move things around a little bit later when I go in to add more curtains in the living space. But for now, this is what I'm doing. And I mean, I only change things a little bit. I don't change too much. I just move a couple things around. So I don't get rid of any items either. I just move a few things, I think. So anyway, adding a few little details here to the kitchen. I end up changing those cooking utensils over for pots, and then I put the cooking utensils outside near the barbecue area. I couldn't decide what to put in this spot there, and I eventually put an espresso, or like one of the I can't remember what they're like actually called in game, but like one of the fancy coffee makers from Get Together there. But then I realized I didn't put in a coffee grinder because I was just kind of like frustrated about what to put in that spot at the end, because it looked empty without anything. And then yeah, I ended up I put this like coffee maker there, and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't have a grinder, so it doesn't work. But I didn't realize that until it was too late, so oops. And then a big dining table. So again, because this cottage has so many guest rooms and so much space for so many Sims, we needed a big guest table so that if the full capacity of 8 Sims was here, everyone would have a spot to sit at the table. So I picked a large dining table, and I picked a large dining table, and I wanted it to look nice. I thought that I went with the matching chairs initially, but then I was like, nah, these chairs fit the theme. And then I put, what's it called? Got Llama or something? I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I put that, like, it's basically Jenga. I put that game in the corner because if there's anything that you do at a cottage on a rainy day, it's playing cards or playing Jenga. And so we had to have a little activity kind of like table where you could do fun stuff instead of the formal dining table. And I put Jenga there. And then I put in this console here, and I really like the look of that end table from Tiny Living, but it didn't make sense to put a console on it because Like, you wouldn't put an expensive gaming console on something that was like not the most sturdy surface. So I used that little end table in the living area instead. So I went with again, lots of blues in the living room to match with the theme. I use a lot of stuff from like Get Together and cats and dogs in this build. I use the cats and dogs stuff a lot, to be honest. Like, it's one of my favorite packs for the look of stuff. I just think like a lot of the stuff in that pack actually looks like what you'd have in your home, because like there's nice sleek stuff in other packs too, but usually, like, I don't know, and I mean, if you have more money and you can afford to buy nice things, you have nicer things. But like, when I think of my house, it's all things that like it's like either cheap IKEA furniture, or if I have nice furniture, it's stuff that's been gifted to me from a family member. So some of it is like a little bit dated looking, and cats and dogs fits that aesthetic well. So anyway, just putting in like the little gaming area there. So if it was raining and your Sims couldn't go outside to do all the outdoor activities at the cottage, you still have fun things to do. I mean, you also have like the computers and the gaming consoles and the TV and the bookcase and all that. But you know what? Maybe your Sims want to play Jenga instead of hooking into electronics. I don't know. And then I just put a little runner in this hallway there to fill in this space a bit. And then I add some artwork in there as well. And you know what? I used quite a few things from, maybe not quite a few things, but I used some things from Vampires as well. There's a lot of cool build mode items in there. Like, I really like the tile that I used in the bathroom, and like that runner is so useful. There aren't many good runners in The Sims, and I love that the Vampires one is like all different tiles, and like when you have certain swatches, they can look a little bit obnoxious, but like that neutral one in the hallway there looks really nice. So I think it does. So anyway, just adding some details to the build. So we've got some artwork in the hallways, and we've got, I added the coat racks and everything too. So by the door, you've got lots of places to hang your coats, and then adding more artwork and details and curtains. So I think I'm about to, oh no, never mind. I thought I was about to go do the curtain in the kitchen, but I guess not. Oh no, here we go. I'm right. But yeah, so you can see like it looks weird with the cabinet there. It just doesn't look right. And then if I moved it over, I was like, oh no, the knife rack is in the way. And at the time, it did not occur to me to just move the knife rack. But I get frustrated with this and I leave it and I come back later. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just move the knife rack. So at the time, did not occur to me at all. I don't know what I was thinking, but I do make that very obvious realization later. I also love this little like wooden heart thing, and it's perfect for this kind of build. It looks like maybe a kid made it at camp or something. So anyway, I wanted to add in a little bookshelf here. So you've got lots of different entertainment options in there. And I know the TV from Tiny Living has the bookcase built in as well, but sometimes you just also want some other stuff. And the little TV that I put from Tiny Living, I chose a small TV on purpose because, again, this build is all about spending time outside. So I didn't want there to be like a big giant flat screen TV on the walls that would have your Sims inside all the time. And then just decorating the porch here. And I think I changed that couch. I do like it a lot, but there's no matching chair for it. So I wanted the stuff to match. So we've got a little like sitting area out here. And if you were sitting out there, you'd be looking right out at the lake in Windenburg. So it's a very nice view that you get to look out at. And I add in a few little details there. So later I go and I add like a record player out there so you could sit out on the porch and listen to music. We got a few books out there. And then I added the little decorative journal, which I'll do in just a second, because you could sit out there and look at the lake and journal. And I thought that would be, I mean, I don't journal, but I imagine that if I did like to journal, that would be the ideal setting for it. And then I put in a stereo because I honestly, while I was building this, I forgot that the Tiny Living TV also has a stereo built into it. So I put a stereo in. So now there's 2 stereos in your living room, but I mean, 2 stereos are better than none. And then I wanted a little area out here where if your Sims wanted to barbecue instead of eating inside, they could have a little picnic table. And then I added a little fire pit as well. So the deck is it would be really nice like at night, in the evening or at nighttime, to hang out on the deck. And then I added some piping. And I don't know how that piping would potentially lead to the ground in The Sims, but I'm imagining that maybe one of the stilts in the foundation is hollowed out for the pipes to go through. We'll just go with that. Anyway, so putting in the little blackboard there. And then, yeah, I was going to put those out by the barbecue, but then I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. So I wanted to put those, but then I was like, oh, they're already in the kitchen, and they're in the kitchen as like kitchen tools. So if they're barbecue tools, that doesn't make much sense. So I swapped the barbecue tools out for that. I did only a little bit of work on the landscaping because most of the lot was taken up by the cottage. And also too, like, you'd have to have most of the lot cleared in order to build this cottage. So I just added a few things as well. I blended it into the surroundings a little bit more because at the front there was a very clear line of like where the cottage ended and the world, or where the lot ended and the world began. So I wanted to blend it a bit. I added some like more kind of rough, wild growth. And I put some stuff at the underneath because the sun wouldn't get there. And here are the screenshots. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I will see you next time.